Welcome into today's broadcast right here at Cog Hill Farm. Now, Peaches wouldn't let Nugget into the house for this episode, so here's Jason, Brooke, and our chicken master, Marycarl.
What is up, everybody? It's another episode of the Cogcast podcast, episode number 44 of the Homesteading podcast here on everywhere. We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We are everywhere.
What was that thing that used to say that?
Santa Claus.
Everywhere.
Santa Claus is watching. Santa Claus is
He's
watching
everywhere.
you.
He's everywhere. So we're everywhere.
Yes,
Okay.
we are everywhere.
We're everywhere, and we're right here, too.
That is right. Whew, and we are recording early this morning.
We sure are.
So we're trying our new routine and see if we can stick with it.
You know what?
What?
I can't believe you haven't yet realized that those shutters are open back there.
They're not open. They're
Oh,
closed.
Well, these are open.
Yeah, I got these open for light.
Oh.
Those, if we, the camera picks it up different than we do when we look at it. See, they're shut.
Oh. Okay.
But the camera, for some reason,
I'm
gets
looking in the
light.
camera, so it looks like they're open. Anyway.
The camera is just adjust for the light.
Well, I knew you were going to eventually notice it if they were open and stop what you were
No,
doing and go shut
I'm not
them.
going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to let them go.
Calm down. Just sit still. Just kind of like when I get to talking with my hands and you do like this.
Well, it's not that you're moving your hands.
I'm tapping.
You're hitting the desk, and it comes through the mic, and I can see it spiking on the meter here. So I'm thinking when somebody's riding down the road in a car listening to it, they're going to hear boom, boom, boom. So that's why I just put my hands on your hands so you won't do it.
It's not that I talk with my hands or anything.
Because I talk my hands too, so
Okay.
it's that's what was trying to stop. So,
All right. What's going on in the world?
oh man,
We don't want to talk about the world.
no, we won't talk about Cog Hill.
That's right. We're trying to get away from the world,
That's
right?
absolutely correct.
You watch us or you listen to us so you can take your mind off what's going on.
Absolutely, and that's what we enjoy doing.
So
It
we
really
try
is.
to keep everything positive and no negative and
No negative.
just all smiles and all happiness, and
That's right.
it's the way to be.
That is the way to be. We have been on a full-fledged camper search. And I'm going to tell you guys, I went from 0 to 100 when it comes to camper knowledge. I mean, I thought I knew a little bit about campers. I knew absolutely zero about campers, or, I get corrected because travel trailers.
Well, they say on our comments that you guys from the South call them campers.
Yes.
And so I guess that's true. I guess
that's true.
why we
Well,
call them campers.
I got tickled when Dutch and his family come over, and I don't know where the line is. I figured I considered Oklahoma fairly southern, and, they
Yeah, but
called it pop, and, we don't say pop here. We say Coke. Everything's a Coke here. Don't matter if it's Dr. Pepper, Sprite.
It's a Coke.
It's a Coke.
Well, we had pizza and we had soft drinks and we were outside.
Yeah.
So the next thing we knew, we've got ants. And we were like, ants after pizza? That's the craziest thing ever. And so they got to looking, and she said, they're not after the pizza, they're after the pop. And I was like, looking around, looking for, I don't know what pop is.
A lollipop?
I figured it out because I saw a little puddle.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that's what they were after. They were
The
after
pop.
the pop. And it was a Sprite. And I would say it was a Coke.
Yeah, it's a Coke. Coke. Or we say drinks, but we never say pop.
We say Coke, Jason.
We do say Coke.
We don't say
90% of the time we say Coke.
You want a Coke?
You want a Coke? Yeah, that's what we say. And you can ask any Southern that and know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
That's crazy how the lingo just changes. And
Yeah, and I think at some point it's called soda. I don't know where in the United States they call it soda, but they probably make fun of us calling it Coke and Dutch and them calling it pop. So
Probably.
yeah.
well, they're in northern Oklahoma.
They're in northern Oklahoma.
So, if they were in southern Oklahoma, they
may
might
call
know
it
what a Coke was.
Maybe so. I don't know. It's funny though.
It is funny. So, you learned a lot about
I
campers.
learned a lot about campers, y'all. Oh my gracious. Yeah, I thought I knew, but I didn't know anything. My camper knowledge was zero.
Well, I knew I didn't know
Absolutely.
anything.
Now,
So.
well, I thought I knew a little bit. I used to go camping with Granddaddy. Granddaddy camped all the time. I thought I knew something about campers. We've restored a early 60 model vintage camper. We're working on an Airstream. I know nothing. absolutely. I tell you what, as a matter of fact, I'm more confused about the Airstream now than I am when I was prior because, you know, we set our little vintage Yellowstone up. We got it just running off 120. I don't have any 12 volts, nothing. We don't have any batteries because the thing ain't but 12 foot long, but if that.
Yeah.
But the Airstream, do we do dual systems like all these campers have got? And these things have got pumps and
Oh, goodness.
tanks and
Well,
holding. I mean, I'm just confused.
I felt that we are fortunate in our Airstream renovation because if we had started renovating and we didn't have any knowledge, I mean, we would know what we were working on and we
Right.
would research that part.
Yes.
But we will be more broad knowledge after this search is over.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like with us not having renovated the Airstream yet is an asset because when it comes time, we'll know more about what we need to do.
Right. I agree.
So,
I agree. And I've had that question pop up. Why don't we just renovate the Airstream when we live in it? It would take us a year to renovate that Airstream. I mean, it's nothing in it. It's off this. It would, by the time we got the trailer done, and then say we got the wood trailer and the floor set. Then I got to plumb it because we're doing a composting toilet and we're doing a gray tank only, no black water. So I'd have to plumb that, and then all the electrical. And if we're going to do the dual system where it's got 12 volts and holding batteries like a normal camper would, you're talking a while. I would say at least a year.
It's not like we can just slap the thing together and live in it. It's
Yeah.
going to take time, and we have other things that are going on in the meantime.
Right.
So we would continuously have to work on the things that we're doing now, in addition to working on a camper, feeling like we had a deadline to complete it, which would not be good.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
We
be
don't
good.
work well under pressure.
No, we don't. It doesn't work well for us. So that's the reason why we're not doing the Airstream for this purpose.
I think that people don't realize how torn apart it is and how much time it takes to, I mean, you have to build cabinets, you have to build storage. There's no bed that you just could stick in there. It has to be built.
And it's an Airstream, so that all the interior walls are riveted. So you're talking about hoodles. And
20,000 rivets that we have to go
haven't
in.
even leak tested it yet.
Yeah.
See, once we get the shell on, we're going to leak test it. We're going to run water over it and see where it's leaking because I know all the window gaskets are leaking. So all the windows are going to have to come out and be resealed. Where the seams are, because the Airstream is not one solid piece of aluminum, it's several pieces of aluminum, so it overlaps. So typically all those seams leak over time, so all those have to be sealed. So Airstream would be a long ways away.
And plus, we want it done right. We don't want it just thrown back together, especially if we're going to keep it, and that's our plan is if we redo this thing,
we're going to keep it.
We're going to keep it, and that'll be our little, hopefully in the future, our little camper that we tote from point A to point B.
And speaking of keeping it, we have talked about, maybe we ought to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And then we went, looking at campers and went to a camper dealer, and they had 2 used yellow Airstreams. I didn't ask what year model they were, but they were.
I didn't know they were used.
They were used.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, those were used.
I thought they were new.
No, ma'am, that was used. There was one that was small. I'm guessing it was 16 foot, 18 foot, somewhere in there.
I will interrupt you for a moment to say this. We had looked at all the other campers on the lot before we looked at the Airstream, and after I looked at the Airstream, that was my favorite.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was all of our favorite.
It was just totally different on the inside. It was really solid. It's just hard to explain.
It's hard to explain. It was night and day. Not saying that the ones that we looked at weren't quality. It was just a total different animal. I mean, you were going from what you expected in every single one of them, just repetition, going to something that didn't even look like it was a camper.
It was different. It was different. But
it was pricey.
We were looking at a brand new 30-something foot camper that we liked for mid-40s to go and looking at this used Airstream that was half the size. And this was, like I said, I don't know what year model it was, but
72.
it was $72,000 for a used Airstream that was 16 foot long, 18 foot long, and then
It
there was
little.
one. There was one that was a little bit longer next to it, and it was in the 90s.
Yeah, it was. But both of them, I mean, not that we would buy an Airstream. That's not
Oh,
what we're in the
no.
market for.
No.
And besides that, we're not in the financial situation to do something like that. But it was our favorite.
It was our favorite.
And the salesman made what we told him, that we have an old Airstream that we plan to restore one day, and that we had talked about selling it. And his advice to us was
To keep it. He said, do not sell it. He said, if y'all going to restore it, he said, keep it. He said, because you'll get your money right back out of it. So
yeah. So that made me feel good.
It did.
And, we've got so much invested in it, that time even.
yeah.
Going to get those axles, having those, whatever you call them, wheel
Wheel
wells
wells built,
fabricated. It's just a lot of little things that add up that we already have. We have the gray water tank already.
Yeah, we got the gray water tank.
We've got an air conditioner already.
We got an air conditioner. Now, we got an air conditioner for free.
Yeah.
But we
back-
don't know if it works or not, but we
Well-
got one for free.
Back when we first got the Airstream, that was our first thought was, what are we going to do about air conditioner? Because it was old and there was no way this one worked.
Right.
Besides that, there was no electrical wiring, was all chewed up to it. So that we knew had to go, and we didn't know what we were going to do as far as a replacement, because we didn't want to pay the cost that it was to buy a brand new one. So I just happened to be browsing on Craigslist one day, and this was a couple of years ago, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a couple of years ago.
And this couple had an air conditioner. They were on vacation, and their air conditioner stopped in their camper. And so they called the air conditioner repair people, and they didn't have the part to fix it. And so they opted to just have it changed out and put a new one in, and they took the old one back home with them. And the repairman said it was just a fan. Just a fan. Isn't that right?
I think it was the capacitor, I think.
And so he gave it to me.
Yeah.
He gave it to me. He said free. And so I went and got it, and it was perfect size for what we need. And we've got it sitting.
And this was a fairly new camper it went out on, but it was
Yeah.
out of warranty.
It was out of warranty.
Yep.
So they had to have air conditioner. They were on vacation, didn't have time to wait on parts. And so I didn't know these people from Adam's House Cat, but I went to their house and picked it up and brought it home. And hopefully, when we get to that point, we'll figure out that it does work.
Yeah, that's
It's
what
a
we're
simple
hoping that I can
fix.
fix it. So that's the just on the Airstream.
Well, here's another thing a lot of people said.
What's that?
Why can't we put our birds or our animals in the Airstream?
Well, it's not ready for one.
Yeah, it's not ready for
Yeah.
one. And number two, for us to have to fix it to where we could put animals or birds in the Airstream would be another time consuming.
Yeah, it would be, because I guess we mentioned that we were worried about Marycarl's birds.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
That's why they were saying. A lot of people were commenting about the birds.
After looking at several of these in the floor plans, we realized that there's a possibility that we can get them in the camper.
And the reason is because y'all in Alabama, it is super hot. It's not like it's warm. It's super hot. Those birds can't stay outside.
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted to know why can't you just put them in your barn, or
I got you.
Yeah. Why can't
yeah.
you just put them here or there? Because they can't possibly live in that type of heat.
Yeah, and then we have to kind of worry about predators too.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, these are her.
Yeah.
These are her pets.
Yeah,
and,
these are her pets. So
that was her first thought when we started looking, is where are my birds going to go?
right.
So, I mean, we're worried about the chickens too, but we'll have that figured out. It's that the birds live inside our house, and therefore they have to go back inside some air conditioned, heated environment.
That's right. But like I said, after looking at some of these, if we got smaller cages, I believe that they would work.
I think we'll figure it out. I'm not so concerned about it as I once was when she first mentioned it to me, and I was like, oh no, I forgot about the birds. That was,
Right.
way it was at one point. But now I feel like, we can make this work.
Right.
We've got a few options that we could make it work, even if they can't go inside the camper.
Yeah.
Talking about the little sweet shop.
Yeah.
We've got a little window unit in it, and we plan to try to take it over to the 40 with us. And so that's a possibility that if we've got it over there, and we could just put them in there and open the door maybe during the day and put a fan in there and run the air conditioner if it got super hot.
Yeah, I agree. I think we got it pretty much figured out now. But after looking at all these campers, there were several options for us, and this is the one I liked.
Maybe you ought to start with what we did on the way.
Are you talking about dropping off?
Yeah.
All right, so our friends, we got friends. I know y'all have seen JC. If
We
y'all
only have
follow
two
us.
friends, but
Yeah.
we have friends.
and JC's a good friend of ours, and their family. They're just awesome people. And JC, we gave him a few geese and some goslings.
We had given him a goose
Miss Prius.
a year ago, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Miss Prius, and she has been a lone goose since we gave it. We gave them two. One of them didn't make it, and this was when they were goslings.
Mm-hmm.
So Miss Priss was left alone. Hatching season was over. We had no way to get them another goose friend for Miss Priss. So Miss Priss was JC's baby.
Yes.
He has, is it muscular dystrophy?
I think it's some form, yes.
And he's wheelchair bound. So he would carry her around in the wheelchair when she was little, and then as she got older, she traveled along beside him in the wheelchair, in the motorized wheelchair, and it was just a sight to see. But since then, she's matured a lot, and she's gotten to the age where she lays eggs.
Yes.
And she got to the age where she sat on the eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew they weren't fertile. I mean, there's no other goose there. There's
Right.
nothing she could have bred with, but she was determined that she was going to have a baby.
Yep.
And then her best friend was a pig.
That's
And
right.
so the problem with that was that every time Miss Priss would get up to go get food or water, the pig would eat the eggs. So Miss Priss was broody, no male, so they weren't fertile, and then the pig was eating her eggs. So we knew this had to change.
Right.
You know, they had to have a friend. So they had found one and bought it for Miss Priss.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know the sex of it because it's hard to tell until they start. Marycarl can tell a lot of times, but it does take some age before you can determine the sex of a goose.
And you normally determine it by their honk.
Yeah, by their honk. And
It's not like a duck where the back tail feather curls
right,
up.
there's no
Yeah.
evidence that you can determine if it's male or female. So they purchased this goose for a friend for Miss Priss, and then they had a DNA test done. They plucked a feather and they sent it off, and they came back as a female.
So he's got two females now.
And that's not helping Miss Priss at all.
Yep.
She's still not able to hatch any babies. So, being the kind soul that Marycarl is, she decided that she had a husband for Miss Priss.
That's correct.
So, she picked out one that she thought would be a good match for Miss Priss, as well as a surprise for JC. His family knew about this, but he did not. She had 3 little goslings that were very sweet, and they were kind of bonded to each other, and they are a lot younger than the rest of our crew here.
Mm-hmm.
So she felt like that they would be good to go to a new home.
Right.
So we took Miss Priss's new husband and 3 goslings to them. And then I'll let you go from here.
And of course, they were all excited. And while we were there, we told them that we were fixing to go look at campers. And that's when they said, "Hey, look, we got a camper that we're wanting to sell. And y'all more welcome to look at it if you want to." And we're like, "Yeah, how big is it? 40 foot." And I was like, "Good gracious." Went over there, and this thing's huge. It's massive. Went in.
They bought it to live in because
They
he's
bought
a
it to live in.
state park ranger.
Yes.
I guess is how you say it. And at the state park that they were stationed at, they had no housing.
Right.
And so they bought it to live in. And they had 2 boys and a husband and a wife. And so, it's plenty room for us.
Plenty room for us. And then what happening is as soon as they got it, they were offered a house.
Park house or
from a
something.
park house. And so they like, "Look, we can live in a camper or a house. What are we going?" And this thing's free. The house is free. So they ended up living in the house, and they brought the camper back here. Long story short, the camper's hardly been lived in. They
I think
actually
6 months is all they lived in it.
and it's actually just been plugged in, running, and they got it by their pool. So they've been using it typically as just a little pool house, or if they had a party or something, they would use it for the kids. So it hadn't been used that much, and so we looked at her like, man, this thing, it was like a house, because this is something else I learned. This thing is a park model or a destination camper or destination trailer or bungalow. It's meant to be, moved to somewhere. And I'm guessing like at a lake or or on the river or something like that. And that's it. You don't pull this thing around from campsite to campsite. That's why they call it a park model or a destination model, because you sit it and forget it and it's done. And so, we were like, wow, this thing's awesome. So they said, if y'all more welcome, whatever y'all want to do is fine. We're here. You can look at it, whatever, da-da-da. And we said, well, heck yeah, we'll sure keep this in the back of our mind while we go look at campers.
So we learned a lot at our first stop.
We did.
Before we even went to look at, actual campers.
We did. We learned a lot there. They told us a bunch of stuff, and we learned a lot there.
And it was good that we looked at it first, because we had things to compare it to.
Absolutely. So, of course, we go to the camper place, and we look, and as we're looking, it was hot, y'all. But we did though. We were probably out there a good long time.
We were.
And so we're looking by ourselves, because the place is busy, and we'll get into that in a second. But we're looking by ourselves, and we started noticing that every time we looked at one, no matter which one we looked at, they were all the same. And we just kind of didn't like the setup. We couldn't see how ourselves living in these things, because they were all the bedrooms were all set up the same. So everyone we were looking at were the same. So finally we were fixing to go in and leave, and a salesman walked up and said, can we help y'all? And you said, yeah, we could use some help.
I said, I saw one out there that interested us, and it was used. Could you possibly give us a little information on it?
And he said, yes, let me get somebody for you. And so we had a super nice gentleman, Chris with a K.
That's right.
He came, and me and him went, and I told him what we wanted. And he said, okay, cool. And so, boom. Now, he started showing me ones that we were wanted.
Not even things that we had looked at.
Not even things we looked at, even though they were all lined up, he just knew which ones were what. And so
we came this close to leaving without talking to anybody, just because they were so busy, and we didn't feel like they had anything that would suit our needs.
Yeah.
After looking on our own.
Absolutely. But he started showing me things, and I'm like, gosh, we could live in this. We could live in this. The one the two he showed me I liked were travel trailers. We could pull them. They were around the 30-foot-ish mark, somewhere in there. A nice bedroom in the back, a nice bedroom in the front, real roomy. It was set up really nice.
Outdoor kitchen.
So this is the ones that I liked. Then he showed me a toy hauler, and it was awesome. It was really, really awesome, but it was really, really pricey. And, of course, he showed us all these, and I liked them. And then you were texting me. And finally I said, look, we're fixing to come inside. We're done. You need to look at these campers. Mm-hmm. So come on. So Chris did the same route with her and Marycarl as he did with me, and it opened your eyes up.
Yes. I was like, how did we miss all this?
Yeah,
but it was just a matter of we didn't know what we were looking for, and he knew what to show us.
That's right. So that really opened our eyes up. The other thing that opened our eyes up is he told me that almost 90% of their customers right now are doing the exact same thing we're doing. They either have sold their house or are about to sell their house and have bought property, or are living somewhere where they can have a camper until the prices of material goes down and they build their house. He said because the housing market's so crazy right now that people are wanting to, they may have been on the fence of selling their house, but this has pushed them over that, and they don't have anywhere to go. So the camper market is crazy. Not to mention, you had the trickle down of COVID when all these places shut down. So the camper market's crazy. He told us that they average 40 sales a month, and they've doubled and tripled that in the last several months.
It's just amazing. I think he told us that they normally have like 400 units on the lot.
Anywhere from 300 to 400 units on the lot.
And they had 100.
They had 100, yeah.
So, the selection wasn't real good. However, after he showed us what we wanted to possibly look at, we were overwhelmed.
We were overwhelmed.
At our choices.
We were. And, we were like, okay, cool. Well, we could afford some of these he showed us. There was no problem. And then we started coming home. And then I started doing research on the way home. And, you could take up to a 20% hit within the first year. And then it kind of trickles down from there. And I was thinking, if we're in this thing for a couple of years, not say a couple of years, I don't think it's going to take us that long to build a house, but just say 1 year.
Yeah. We
could take anywhere from a $10,000 to a $15,000 hit within a year. And I'm like, gosh, that's a lot.
Yeah. Is that, and the prices right now have gone sky high because of the demand.
Yep. They don't even put prices on them anymore. He said, because this is not like the car business where you have, you go to a car lot, this is new now, not used, a new car lot, and the MSRP stickers printed on the window. The campers are not like that. They are steadily going up. And he said that they reprice usually just about every 2 weeks.
So they won't give you any kind of set pricing. I actually asked him if I could take a picture of the sheet because I was so confused as to what costs what. And he said, no, ma'am. He said, I can't do that because the prices change so rapidly.
The prices change so rapidly. But you can go on their website and they had the prices
that
listed.
Were current.
Yeah.
But, asked to have something in writing and then say, hey, this was 42 last week and now it's 45.
Right.
They couldn't do that. And I understand that.
So we learned a lot there. Really learned a lot. And like I said, on the way back, I started looking and started reading some of you guys' comments. And then we decided, heck, let's go back and check out JC's family's camper and look at it again.
Because they had not been able to give us a price on it yet.
Yeah.
They had to do some research and find out, what it was worth and this, that, and the other. So we didn't know a price on that. And we were eager to find out because we really liked it. And also we had other prices to compare to.
Plus we had gone from it to look at these newer ones and wanted to say, well, let's go back and look at this one because we couldn't kind of remember. And now we've looked at so many, we kind of know what to look for. And again, came back there and we really liked it.
Yeah. And so I sent them a text and I said, let us come back by and just take a look again. We did that. And, we figured out, hey, this might be our best bet.
This might be our best bet.
All right. So another thing was a lot of these RVs, I will call it an RV now, weighed too much for us to tow.
Yeah. Depending on which one we got, it weighed a lot. Now, the ones that I liked, we could tow. But for the most part, as we got bigger and bigger, we couldn't tow them.
We couldn't tow it. So, it was where that the dealer was going to take it to the land and leave it and us not be able to move it again until we parted with it.
And the same with the one that JC and them had, because like I said, that's a destination camper. You'd have to have a 1-ton truck to pull this thing.
And so the daddy, JC's daddy, he offered to take it to our land for us and set it up and everything and show us how everything worked. And this was enticing, because we had no way to do that. And we would love, they're just great people. You trust everything they say. Mm-hmm. You just feel comfortable with them. And then them offering to do that would be just music to our ears because we knew nothing about campers.
Right. We knew nothing about campers. And then, so after we looked at it, we told them, guys, we love this camper. Let us go home and think about it and do some research and let you guys know the next day. And so we did that, and we made a decision that we were going to get JC&M's camper.
We were going to buy it. And so I called them the next morning to let them know, this is what we want to do, but I want to get our pad area ready, which where we're going to park the camper was previously where a mobile home and a camper sat, but it's kind of overgrown, and we would like some gravel poured and, to make it to where it's nice and neat and you can see the ground and, just
clean it up good, put some rocks on it. And we got the idea because we saw Dutch's video, Keeping It Dutch. And like I said, they're a few weeks ahead of us and they had a beautiful pad where their camper's sitting with rocks. And we're like, that's what we need to do.
That's what we need to do. And so, I was going to tell him, well, go ahead and pay for it. And, you get everything squared up on your end, get it cleaned out and everything. And in the meantime, we'll work on getting some rocks brought in. And, it doesn't matter if it's a few weeks away. We just want to go ahead and settle up and decide what we're going to do. Well, okay, Brooke. Let me tell you what happened after you left yesterday.
Yes. When
y'all were here, we didn't have a ladder, and it didn't have a ladder made on the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have a ladder out, and I told y'all everything was good with the camper, and I would never want to sell y'all anything that I wasn't 100% sure about. He'd already told us that there was a time when there was a leak around a vent.
When they originally got it. And the dealer repaired it. Yes, the dealer fixed it. Yep.
The dealer fixed it, and so there had been no more leaks, no more problems, we had looked on the inside. We didn't see any damage or anything. So he said he just wouldn't feel comfortable without going over absolutely everything to make sure this thing was solid. And so he said, I got a ladder after y'all left, and I got up on top of it. And I had already asked him, could we walk on the top of it?
Right.
Because we've got our little, our RV shed, I guess you would say, that we took down a couple of years ago for our Airstream to be stored up under. And the thing is, we didn't pay much for it, but it's valued at a lot of money, and we've already got it over there. So we were going to set it up and park this up under it.
That's correct.
And so he said, I just wanted to make sure everything was right, and I got up on top of it after y'all left, and it's a soft spot.
I found a soft spot, and he said, I'm not going to sell it to y'all.
He said, I just want you to come and look at it if y'all want to, and know that this soft spot's here, and I just can't sell it to you knowing that without
our approval.
Yeah. Well, he was basically saying, a soft spot. So we started researching.
And soft spots are bad.
Soft spots are bad. And this roof of this camper should hold 4,600 pounds. And yet this gentleman couldn't walk on it because it was soft.
Yeah, it was soft. And so we called him back and told him. And, we hated to. We absolutely hated to. We kind of felt guilty too.
Yeah,
we wanted it and told him we wanted it.
And he was the one that felt guilty because
and he felt guilty because I
wish I never showed it to y'all.
Yep.
And if I had known this, I promise you, I never would have even told you. So he went at his own. He could have sold it to us. We wouldn't have known.
Yeah, we wouldn't have known.
And he told us, out of his goodness of his heart, that this thing's got a soft spot in it, and I didn't know it. And I can't do this to y'all.
Right.
So, scratch that.
So then we're like, okay.
Back to square one.
Well, actually, I was like, you know what? I read somebody's comment that said that look at used, but look at new used. Look at, this is 2021. Look at 2021s and 2020s because, even the camper salesman, he told me, he said, what happens is you can find a good used one, talking about their inventory, because people trade up. Or he said there's three things that happens. Is that number one, they get it and then they realize they can't afford it.
Right.
All right. Number two, they just want to get it. They no longer use it. They didn't use as much as they thought they would, and so they get rid of it.
And it's just sitting.
Making
payments on it.
And then number three, they want to step up. They bought one. They used it for 6 months to a year and realized we need a bigger camper. Mm-hmm. So those are the three factors. And so I read the comments of some people that were camper people, and they said, look at good used. And so that day, I started looking, and we found a few that were a year old or 6 months old. And, we're going to go look at one today. And then what we're looking at today is because they're stepping up.
Yes.
They want a fifth wheel.
It still has a factory warranty on it, which is transferable to the next owner. And they have 3 years worth of warranty on it from the initial purchase, and they have 2 years left. And they have just had the inspection done at the dealer to confirm that everything's been checked off, everything marks good, and there's no problems. And he's got that paperwork in hand. And he said that's something that the dealer wants you to do on a yearly basis, is bring it in, let them check it out, let them check it all off. It's under warranty. And if there's any problems, they want to fix it before it becomes a complete
right.
disaster.
But here's the other, I say dilemma. It's not really a dilemma. Me and her like two different things, really. I like the one we're going to look at today, and the two we looked at the dealership. I like these are around. I think the one we're looking at today is 33 foot.
33 foot.
So 33 foot, somewhere in there that we can pull. Mm-hmm. And
so we have a 1,500 truck, a
half-ton truck.
Half-ton truck.
So, and they're plenty big. And
we think
they got 2 bedrooms. They don't have washer and dryers. Usually these models don't have a washer and dryer, but I don't think a washer and dryer is that big a deal. I think I can put a washer and dryer anywhere. I think I could build a little something to put a washer and dryer in there.
Well, so he made a comment last night that we were going to get a washboard, and that's when I said, Jason,
we were watching Little House on the Prairie.
Jason Smith, you and Marycarl can washboard all day long. Because I ain't washing with a washboard.
Yeah, we were watching Little House on the Prairie, so yeah, it was a
he thought that was all funny, and I took it very seriously because he's not too concerned about a camper having or an RV having a washer and dryer hookup.
I really think I can just put a washer and dryer, and I don't mean just anywhere.
This is what's going to happen, okay?
Somewhere very close by.
This is what's going to happen. So we're going to move in over there,
right?
And we're not going to have a washer and dryer.
No, we'll have that set up before.
And I'm going to be using a washboard.
No.
And y'all are going to be like, I don't have any clean underwear. Could you wash it on the washboard for me?
No, I'll get all that ready.
I'm just picking, you know.
I know. So that's what, because, I'm thinking like this. Okay, number one, if a year from now, I think we'd have and I tell you what she likes. I would think I could sell this one easier if it comes to that. If we decide we want to sell it, if we decide we want to keep it, then we can pull it with our truck
and go where
we want to. Now she likes the destination models, or called the park models, where you set it and forget it. That's what she likes because this almost like a house.
I'm worried about space.
Yep.
And I don't know if I even should be. And that's just the dilemma is I don't know. Well, we haven't lived in one. So I don't know what enough space would be. I think that we are outside people. I think we're going to use it to have a meal, and I think we'll use it to sleep and on rainy days. But I think other than that, we'll be outside. But I just can't wrap my head around how much space we're going to need to be comfortable.
Yeah. So that's the dilemma. And I feel like that if we get one of these models that you can't pull yourself, it's not meant to be pulled. It's meant to be stationary.
A lot of people even put blocks up under them and make them stationary.
Right.
And a lot of them have most all of them have washer and dryer hookups. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing about that is you think about being in a confined area that's 40 foot long by just say 10 foot wide.
Yeah.
You have a dryer in there.
Right.
You're running that dryer. You can imagine it's going to heat up pretty quick. So upon thinking about that, I feel like having the washer and dryer outside would be the best option.
And I know it's going to be elements involved with the washer and dryer outside, but it's not going to be long term.
No, it's not going to be long term. As soon as we got a frame built on our house and plumbed, and
we can move it in there. Yeah, we can move it in there.
It would be a temporary thing, and oh, goodness, I was fixing to say something. Some people had suggested.
I don't know. Well, here's my question. If you are a camper person or know a lot about campers and this, that, and other, what are your thoughts? Do these park models, are they sought after? I just feel like that's a certain person that has a lot on a lake or a lot on the river, or
a lot on the 40.
That's not going to use it as a travel trailer. And I think that's very, very limited.
And that's a concern of mine too. I mean, after we started thinking about, we're just people that dot all of our I's and cross our T's before we do something. We're not spontaneous with purchases and want to make sure that we've covered all grounds before we make a decision.
Right.
And therefore, being able to resell is important.
It is important. So,
and who knows? I mean, if we had one that was a pull behind, we might enjoy using it.
That's just where I was leaning. I just feel like it was more versatile, but we would give up more space and possible washer and dryer.
Yeah. So I don't really know. I don't really know what the answer is, but I do know that we're going to go look at one this afternoon, and
Yep.
it is not a park model.
It's not a park model.
We could pull it with our truck.
Yep.
And it's a family that has a couple of children, and they are moving up. They want to go to a fifth wheel. And
And the whole reason that we're wanting to do this, and because we've read comments as to why don't y'all just stay where we are?
oh yeah,
why
that's
we
what I was
build the
fixing to
house?
say.
And it's because it's going to be we're split. Even though the 40's 30 minutes away, we still have to drive back and forth and commute. And we're just split, you know.
But you think about, we have to eat. And yeah,
Right.
we pack a sandwich when we go over there. But you also have to think about, you know, being a family and being able to sit down at a table and having a meal, you know, just stuff like that. We can't do and have both houses
Yeah.
and not have a place to reside over there.
That's true. And also, I will say this: we have Marycarl, who's 11, and you know, she drives around and does this. And right now, it's extremely hot outside.
Mm-hmm.
She gets bored if she's out there by herself.
Yeah.
She runs out of things to do, and you know, there's some things she would like to do that we won't let her. You know, we're not going to let her go by herself in the woods where the stream is. We've already seen one copperhead, so you know we're not going to do that. So
We can't just turn her
that's
loose.
off limits to her. So what she does is she swings on her swing, she identifies plants, and she drives her little toot around.
And then she's
after
hot.
after 3 hours of doing that, she gets kind of bored.
Yeah. And then,
So-
you know, for me to bush hog, it's going to take 6 hours and to
Well-
occupy her for that amount of time.
And that's just bush hogging. Wait till we start building a house and we're
Yeah, I
out there
know it.
8 hours a day.
Exactly. And homeschool.
And homeschool.
So how can we be in two places
Right.
and take care of this place?
And take care of this place.
You know, we have grass that needs to be cut. We have meals that have to be prepared,
Right.
groceries. You know, it's just it's impossible.
Yeah. So
We
we
can't do it.
We can't do it. So we feel like if we get the camper, we can sell this place and then move out there, and all our energy will be focused out there, not two different places. Plus, too, we still got a power bill we got to pay here. We got a water bill we got to pay here. We got a gas bill we got to pay. We got insurance.
But it's not a financial reason for us needing to sell this house to get
No,
the money.
it's not.
That's not it. It has nothing to do with the financial part that we need the money before we build the house. That's nothing to do with it. It's simply the fact that our time is limited.
It's convenience and time and scheduling, all that. And so, yeah, it would be a million times better.
Plus,
if we
you
had it
have
out
to
there.
drive over there a lot of times, have nothing to do
Except upload
over there
videos.
except for upload
Yeah.
videos. And that's taking a lot of time away from you.
Yeah, you might as well say 3 hours out of the day.
Yeah, just to drive over
just
there,
to drive
upload,
up there,
and
upload
drive back.
videos. Yep. And you know, the other day I uploaded 7 videos. I was there for 4 or 5 hours that day because while I was uploading, it's just more the uploading part is not. Then I have to type in all the stuff, and then I have to.
But there's a lot of
so,
wasted
yeah.
time. And if we
Yeah.
were there at night or if in the
Oh,
early
yeah.
morning, you could
Oh,
take
yeah.
care of that and not
Absolutely.
interfere with things that need to be done.
Right. Yeah, I could do that while we're eating dinner. I could
exactly.
be uploading videos.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the plan is to purchase a camper at this point,
Right.
move it over there, get our pad ready, use it to stay in while we're working on animal enclosures.
Mm-hmm.
We could spend the night over there. I mean, we can spend the night in our little one, but we don't have a bathroom. We don't have any way to take a shower.
Right.
It's tight quarters, and
Yeah.
we make it work.
We
But
make it work. There's no kitchen. You can't cook in there. You got to cook outside. I mean, it's just basically a bed and a little tiny refrigerator
and a counter.
and air conditioning
And a counter.
and a counter. I mean, that's it. It's got no hot water. It's just cold water sink. It's really pretty much semi-rough in it, even though we got air conditioner.
And my mom can't live in that
And
either.
your mom can't live in that. And speaking of your mom, we mentioned it before, but she's going to get a camper too.
Yeah, that's the plan. Is she told me yesterday, she said, Brooke, I'm getting kind of worried about this. And I said, what are you talking about? when am I going to get my camper? And I said, well, we're going to get ours first, and then we'll get yours. Don't worry. We're not going to leave you without a place to go. And she's good with living in a camper.
Yep.
We can find one for her a lot easier than we can find one for us.
Yeah, we're going to get her a much smaller one. So
all she needs is 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and a little kitchenette area, and she'll be satisfied. I mean, that's all she's got now.
Yeah.
But it's just in a, more spacious environment.
Right. And much bigger than the canned ham.
It's got to be. And a bathroom. And she did tell us at one point, she said, how come I can't just stay in the little camper? I said, Mama, you're 68 years old, and you wake up in the middle of the night and you got to go to the bathroom. What are you going to do, go to the woods? And she said, I guess you're right.
Yeah. So that's that on that. So,
it sounds good, but it's not possible.
But we are going to get her one.
Yeah, we're going to get her.
She's going to be right there by us, and we'll all be together.
And here's another thing about our dogs.
Yes.
I have been very concerned about our little dogs. Our big dogs, we can, they'll stay in the fenced-in area, but our little dogs are used to being in an enclosed area. We have a fenced-in backyard. We have a doggy door that they can access the backyard, and I just didn't know how we were going to contain them.
Right.
What will we do?
Right.
So we have been checking into these wireless pet containment systems. And y'all let us know if you have one of these and how it works for you. This would be for our 3 littles.
Yep.
And
kind of like underground fencing.
But it sends out a signal in a radius of whatever you select according to what I've read and researched. And you can choose that radius of how far you want them to go or not go. And then they put the collar on, and I'm kind of worried about them not having a doggy door to access the outside.
Yeah, that was another thing. The park model versus a regular camper. The park model has a sliding glass door like a house, and you can put a doggy door in that. They make a little retrofit for that.
It's a panel that you slide the door back, and you insert this panel, and it's got a doggy door in it, so they could go in and out. But with the ones that we're looking at, there's no way we could put a doggy door in that I know of. If y'all know of a way, then you tell us. Because if there's an access panel that we could buy a replacement access panel when we go to sell it and use that doggy door, I'm all for it. Right. But I need to be able to, fix it back to original.
Right. I've looked and I have seen absolutely nothing. And here's the reason why. Because I was like, man, somebody ought to invent a doggy door setup for a camper.
I'm sure there is, but we just...
Well, here's the reason why. Because campsites do not let dogs roam free. You have to be on a leash. So therefore, that's why there's no doggy doors on campers.
That makes sense, because they would just go out and never come back and roam free.
Yep.
Well, we need a doggy door in a camper. And
on ones I've seen so far is they just cut the siding in the camper.
Cut the siding in the camper.
Just cut a side in the camper and put a doggy door like we did ours in our house.
I mean, that's an option.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that it would be that you would look at that and you would say, I'm not buying this camper because it's got a doggy door cut out in it.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But y'all tell us what you think about that, because we've got to figure out, these dogs are used to going in and out on their own. And I'm afraid if we put them in an enclosure where they can't get out, then we're going to have a mess.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I don't know either. It's just a concern. How about that? And that was one reason I was looking at the park models. My favorite of all when we were looking was the toy hauler.
Yeah, you like the toy hauler a lot.
I like the toy hauler. Reason being, it's a living area in the front, just like a normal one. And the back had like diamond plate flooring. Yeah,
it was like real thick rubber flooring where you could drive a side-by-side or motorcycles or canoes or whatever you wanted to put in the back of it.
And then it had a little area that was fenced in on the back side.
Yep.
And it had a gate.
When the deck let down, so you could load your toy up, it would let down, and it had a little fence that went around it.
And so we could open that gate and put a little, fencing system out there. They could go in and out as they pleased.
Yeah.
And have air conditioning and whatever else. But they're expensive.
Yeah, that was the most expensive one we looked at.
It was my favorite, but it was the most expensive. And I said it wasn't a financial issue, but I also need to know that I'm in it where I can part with it and not be, come out ahead.
Right.
Or not come out behind, I should say, not come out. So that was the problem with those. And plus that, you can't find them used.
Yeah.
Not in this area.
We haven't found one used yet.
No.
That I've seen.
No. I had a girl that Marycarl gave some silkies to, Jessica, and she sent us a message yesterday, and she said, maybe y'all should check into a car hauler.
Toy hauler.
Toy hauler. Car hauler. I got tractors on my mind. And I thought, well, yeah, we have. And she said, y'all are welcome to come check ours out. And I thought, oh, yeah, she's got one for sale. So I said, what year, make, model, and how much do you want for it? And she said, oh, no, it's not for sale. But I meant y'all could come look at it. Well, we had looked at them already, and we loved it, but hers wasn't for sale. And that's what we're finding is people that have these don't normally part with them.
That's what it looks like.
We know what they look like, and we love it, but we can't find one. And it may just be an Alabama thing. You know, another thing is we got to be able to tow it with our truck, or else we're going to buddy up with somebody and say, can you please tow this 400 miles for me? And we don't want to have to do that.
We don't want to have to do that.
We don't want to have to depend on somebody else and them taking their time to help us. So we need to be able to tow it.
We need to be able to tow it. I think so too. So we'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted.
And there will be a video coming out soon about all this, so be on the lookout for that as well.
Yeah, it's this is kind of like your preview of what's to come.
Yep.
And you'll see, it will take you with us on us looking at some of the campers and what we thought and hear all about. We didn't video the one that we went and looked at that we were possibly going to buy.
Right.
The one that JC's parents owned.
Right.
We didn't video that. I don't know why, but we didn't video it. So, anyway.
But we did video us looking on the lot and discussing a lot of stuff. So that will be coming out soon.
Let's answer a few questions before we
get.
We had these left over from the last one and we didn't get to them. What animal that we don't already have would we like to add to the 40?
A donkey.
A donkey. I say a couple of cows.
You say a couple of cows. I told you I've been wanting a donkey, so a donkey or
a donkey
cows.
and cows. How about that?
Yep.
We can do both of them.
We could do both of them.
All right. When freeze drying, once the process is done, does the product have to be stored in the freezer?
No. It doesn't have to be stored in the freezer. That's the cool thing about freeze drying. You don't put it in the freezer. It is completely ready, to preserve for up to 25 years.
On the shelf.
Yep.
Or wherever you are.
Yep. If you put them in the Mylar bags that you get with your freeze dryer, they'll stay in there for 25 years. You can put them in mason jars, regular old mason jars or Ziploc bags, and they're about, I want to say 6 months or less in that.
But if you plan on consuming it soon, then
you can put them in mason jars and get the vacuum sealer for it, and it will store for a while in those, a lot longer than 6 months. So, and no freezer space.
No freezer space.
Yep.
Speaking of that, we're going to freeze dry some peaches when we get finished with this podcast.
We are going to freeze dry some peaches
before we go and look at the camper. You haven't mentioned Thomas lately. Is he okay?
Thomas is absolutely fine. I think he may be. I get confused because our videos are so spaced out and
ahead. We've videoed ahead.
So he's either in a video recently or he's fixing to come in a video pretty soon. But Thomas is fine. And again, I've had people say, oh, poor Thomas. But Thomas is completely happy where he is.
He has two females with him.
He is very, very content. But y'all, Thomas almost died. Scott beat Thomas up so bad that we thought Thomas was not going to make it.
That's right.
And it took at least a week and a half for him to get...
For us to nurse him back to health.
And so we don't want to risk that again because it's going to happen again. I know it's going to happen again. And Thomas is too important to us. Yes, we don't like him being in the dog kennel, but we keep it super clean. He's got mulch in the bottom of it, food, water. He's got
two wives
in there. Everything's fine. He's content. It's shelter. It's got a cover. He's in the shade. So Thomas is okay until we can get moved out and get him a pen built at the 40. Well, but I'm not going to let Thomas out and Scott beat him up and possibly kill him.
Let me say this while we're talking about that. A lot of people have said that's not fair to Thomas. How come Scott can't be locked up for a week and Thomas be locked up for a week? We can't catch Scott.
Not only that, it was stress. Thomas absolutely gets so stressed out when you pick him up and catch him. I'm telling y'all, his feathers come out because that's like a type of defense, and it really, really messes him up. And I'm sure. I mean, we've never tried to catch Scott. We can get close to Scott, but as for just picking him up, he wouldn't let us. So we'd have to get a net and probably catch Scott that way.
And we'd have to do that week by week by week because,
the stress would be so hard.
It's
so
best
hard.
to leave the smaller one in a secure location and let the other one be until we can do something different.
Right.
So, y'all, we're not being cruel. We're protecting him, and it's going to change eventually.
Yes.
Where do you guys see yourself in 5 to 10 years? I don't even want to think about this.
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
Just go with the flow.
10 years from now, Marycarl will be 21 years old.
Yeah.
I cannot fathom what that's going to be like.
I can't see us being any different. I'm sure some things have changed, but I think we'll be about the same as we are now.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we'll still work from sun up to sundown and still, our priorities will be growing our own food and having animals and just living life.
I mean, the only thing I can see that may change in our future would be that Marycarl moves out and we saved up enough money where we could buy a motorhome and travel the world. That would be the only
nice.
thing. Yeah.
That'd be nice. But that's not 5 years. That
would be 10
plus.
Years. Yeah.
10 plus. Could you make a navy or a black in a ponytail hat?
I'll have to see. It's so limited. And that's the thing about doing our hats ourselves is that we can only keep so many colors in stock. And my plan in the future is to do, maybe a special color once every quarter or something like that. That way people can have options. So that's my plan. Keep our standard hats. And right now I'm having a hard time getting these style hats. Very hard time getting these. So
speaking of that, somebody said, will you ever have an unstructured?
Oh yeah, we got several. We got the gray.
Unstructured hat or visor.
Yeah.
This is unstructured.
Yep.
We have these.
Yep.
We have these in a small
and a large.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like your trucker style hat, as you can see. It's your dad cap. It's unstructured. It has nothing in it and it has the little buckle on the back. So here's your unstructured hat.
We do have those.
And here's what it looks like before we put the logo on it.
Yep.
And there's our patches over there. So grab a patch and this is what we do. We put the patches on the hats with our hat press.
I actually show us doing this in our last video.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good deal.
Yep. So we do have unstructured hats, and then every now and then I'll get a different color in those if they pop up.
Yeah, gray seems to go with everything, so we try to keep the gray.
We try to keep the most popular. The gray trucker hat is the most popular hat.
But this one says the Naked Hog.
This is Wes's hat.
Wes at the Naked Hog. Y'all check them out.
The brown distressed hat is very popular too.
Is it unstructured?
Semi. Yep, it's semi-unstructured.
Let me grab it.
Okay.
It's more structured than that gray one.
But it's got a piece of cardboard in it, too.
Yeah, it's got a piece of cardboard. Let's take this out. This might be y'all's. Order.
Yeah.
But you can see it's not like a trucker hat. Mm-mm. It doesn't have complete structure, but it's also not like that gray one that I just showed. All right, last question, and we're going to leave it with you until we get a new camper.
Sure.
Where's the Row by Row show at?
The Row by Row show is in South Georgia. What's the actual...
I don't know, but I know we stayed in Tucker.
I thought we stayed in Tifton.
I think you're right.
It's Tifton, Georgia is where
That's one of those things where I'm so confident. I'm so confident it was Tucker, Georgia. I don't know where Tucker, Georgia is, but we didn't stay there.
We stayed in Tifton.
I think that's like the closest city.
It's like they're close to Valdosta. They're close to Tifton.
I don't think they're close to Valdosta.
I thought they were a few miles north of it.
I think Valdosta is like an hour away.
Okay.
We stayed in Tifton, Georgia, which is close to there.
What was the big city that was close to there that we went to the park?
Starts with an A. because you Albany.
Albany.
You
Real close to
pronounced
Albany.
it. You said
Albany.
Albany, Georgia. And it may be Albany, but I call it Albany.
But anyways, that's where they're close to.
They're
It's
in that
something
area.
like Norman Park or something in it.
That's what it is.
Is that what it is?
Norman Park.
Okay.
That's what it is.
That's where
You
it
knew
is.
it all along. You were just testing me out, weren't you?
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Let's hope we find a camper that
Yeah.
fits our needs, and y'all give us some advice and let us know about this doggy door situation.
Doggy door and the recreation models or the park models versus the travel trailer model.
I don't know. We might already be purchased one by that point, by the time this comes out.
We'll see.
But y'all let us know anyway.
Yep.
I want to know if you think we could resell a park model,
Yeah.
because we won't have a truck to tow it to their.
No, we'd have to hire somebody.
We'd have to hire
Or they
somebody.
would have to hire somebody.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know. What's our what should we do?
What should we do?
What should we do?
Right.
All right.
We'll catch y'all on the next one.
Y'all
be
be good.
good.
Hey, I put a couple of videos over here that I think you may like. Go check them out. And if you're interested in any of our merchandise, like our shirts, check out that link right down below me. And as always, y'all be good.